let's go. Regular physical activity, exercising, movement can help with fat burning, muscle building, increased metabolism. So people say, I want to lose weight, but if you lose muscle mass, which we do as we age anyway, if we lose muscle mass, that means our metabolism slows down. Do you remember the BMR, the basal metabolic rate, which is like 70% of our calories that we burn every day? That's really easily increased. I say really easily. That is most easily increased by resistance training, okay, strength training, not by running. Please don't ask me what we're doing cardio. No, okay. That does not build muscle. It increases heart health to an extent. Too much can damage it. That's why, like, a lot of marathon runners have heart attacks and so on and so forth. So, like, a little bit of cardio is fine, but for the purpose of building a metabolism, strength training. Okay. I know a lot of you guys, if you follow me, you know I'm not a lover of cardio. I do it if I have to, if I'm held against my will. But generally, like, a lot of our clients, and most of our clients actually, have got results through not doing cardio. Okay. Some people like doing it, and that's absolutely fine. But generally, it's not the ideal way to go, especially as we're going, if we've got any hormonal issues. Okay. I'll say because, and I'm just going well into it. We don't want that. Okay, we'll do it in a bit. So we want to lose fat, not weight. Okay. If I stood on the scale and held this is icing here, then I would weigh, I don't know, 140 pounds or something like that. If I put it down and go back on the scale, maybe I'd weigh 138, something like that. I've lost 2 pounds. I haven't. I've just dropped water, okay, which is also what cardio does. Makes you sweat, so you lose water. You want to lose fat. That's the key thing here, guys. You don't want to lose weight. You want to lose fat. And I know some people will say, well, I'm gaining muscle and I'm losing fat. I've been doing my exercise. I've been going to boot camp 3 times a week, and it's been 3 weeks. So the scale hasn't moved. It's probably not muscle. I hate to tell you guys. A lot of people are like, I'm just growing muscle. I'm losing fat. I'm just growing muscle. It's like, you're probably not. Like, in all honesty, we've got girls on our coaching, on our one-to-one coaching, who are actively trying to build muscle. We've put them through a fat phase, and now they're on maintenance, or they've just come to us and they want to tone up, they want to build muscle. So it all varies, but typically you will not build enough muscle generally to offset a loss if you're in a deficit, okay? Because you need food to build muscle. You need to be in a maintenance or at least a surplus unless you're really, really new. Okay, let's talk about hormones. Endorphins. So everyone talks about endorphins, like, yes, endorphin rush, like we feel fucking great. Woo, 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 woo. So during exercise, the body releases it. And lots of people say, like, they get a runner's high. This is it. So it's a natural painkiller, makes you feel better, and they are released obviously through exercise and the movement. It's also through the kind of, not intensity, but the barrier, I guess, of which you're pushing. You know, you've got like a threshold and you're kind of pushing it. That is when an endorphin rush kind of happens as well. They promote a sense of well-being and can help reduce stress and anxiety. So stress and anxiety are typically things that women will find in their luteal phase, the week before their period kind of thing, or during menopause. This is something that is well researched about stress, anxiety, and menopause, which is why we need to make sure our stress levels are low from Wednesday's training. But endorphins can really help us feel good, okay, and less anxious, just better generally. Cortisol. So, you guys, you're like, I know all about cortisol, it's stress hormone, it's not good for you, you don't want it too high. But how does exercise affect it? So, it increases cortisol, okay? That's the be all and end all. It increases cortisol temporarily during exercise. So it gives that stress, okay? If you imagine, if you're running, really imagine yourself running. You're like, that stress on the body to get the blood pumping, to get the muscles working, okay? That is a lot of stress in the body. If you're building muscle, like really pushing so you're almost dropping the weight, there is a lot of stress on the body. So it is stressful. And I've probably said it before, but the body doesn't know the difference between mental and physical stress. So it's just stress. So cortisol would be raised so that you can push through it. Okay, so obviously, if it's easy, it's not going to stress, so you're not going to need the extra pressure to push through. So it needs to, your workouts need to be challenging enough, basically, to raise that cortisol temporarily. Okay, so when you're strength training, okay, when you're resistance training, it literally like tweaks the brain. It reforms part of the brain, which means that we can handle stress better. So let's say your stress levels here as a baseline, it's pretty high, isn't it? Well, if you are strength training, because you're always pushing that threshold of I can do a little bit more, I can do a little bit more without like overstimulating it, your brain is now like, okay, I can handle like this amount of stress rather than this one. I can handle this amount of stress now. So you can see just by strength training, you're basically telling your body you can handle a little bit more, you can handle a little bit more, you can handle a little bit more. And again, the body doesn't know the difference between mental and physical stress. So when you get that email from your manager, when your partner's doing your head in, when the kids are screaming, that stress can be a little better managed, okay? However, HIIT training, high intensity interval training, which a lot of you guys may have done in the past, and you're like, I do HIIT 5 times a week. You do not, okay? If you are doing proper HIIT, it is so intense, you need to rest the next day, okay? It is very unlikely that you're doing proper HIIT, which is high intensity interval training, not HIIT, which I don't know what it stands for because it's made up, but that's one of my bugbears, just in case you didn't catch that. So if it's, if cortisol chronically high, if it's under like a lot of stress all the time, then it's going to lead to burnout, right? So you can see now why exercise shouldn't be used as a de-stressor, because yes, it might release endorphins temporarily, but it also increases cortisol temporarily. Okay, so we need to get to the root cause of the stress and figure out a way how to manage it prior. The other thing is, I've mentioned to someone else recently actually, is if you have an accident or maybe the gym is closed. Do you remember COVID? It wasn't that long ago. Well, all the gyms closed, right? So some of you couldn't exercise. Maybe you could in the house, I guess, if you wanted to. I'm not a fan. Or if you hurt your back or you've hurt your leg or whatever, you can't exercise. What are you going to do to manage stress then? So it's really important that we find alternative ways and don't rely on exercise as a de-stressor, okay? Adrenaline and neuroadrenaline. So these are also released during exercise, and they like pump you up like a good playlist, like boom, 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 let's go. So it's like, yes, all right, we're going to speed up the heart rate. We're going to push all the blood to muscles. We're going to have more energy, and we're going to be able to use this. We're going to access it. So, when you're like trying to access glycogen or carbs, basically sugar, for energy, quick release energy, this is what's happening. And it increases metabolism temporarily, which is why I think it was like early 90s, or maybe it was the 80s. I think it was the 90s that, excuse me, there were a lot of neuroadrenaline drugs for weight loss. They are very, very bad for you. Don't do it. Adrenaline, you guys might think of someone jumping over a plane, doing like not skydive, what's called a bungee jump, lots of different things like that. And basically, or maybe you have like a near-death experience, right? So this is when adrenaline is released. That's probably what you kind of associate with adrenaline. So what happens is your hands get clammy, okay? Your mouth gets dry. So your mouth is basically, you dry up because your digestive system is shutting off. It's like, do you know what? We need to run away from this threat. We do not need to be digesting food right now. So there's that. And the blood flows to the muscles because of the use, but in like a skydive or whatever, you'll start to get dry hands, clammy hands, because the blood is going to the main organs, like the heart, okay, to be able to survive. It goes into survival mode, basically. So, excuse me, that is because of the increase in heart rate and these other things are switching off. or being prioritized, that causes an increase in metabolism temporarily. But we don't want to do that all the time. Okay, we don't want to rely on adrenaline rushes to help us lose weight. I wouldn't recommend it. But there is something called the diver's reflex. Diver is in like water diver, and what this does, it does increase your metabolism, but it's by slowing down your heart rate. So if you get thrown into water, you'll go into like a survival mode, but the body knows not to panic, not to use oxygen, not to, like freak out and die, basically. It knows to do that. So it starts to slow the body down, slow the heart rate down, but increases all the other things. It increases so it's like an adrenaline rush without the negative effects. Okay, and the way you can do this at home is by drinking water. So I've run this in some of our previous challenges and metabolism program and stuff, where the girls in the group have measured their heart rate, had like 500 milliliters of water, or half a pint maybe, or a full pint of water, and then 15 minutes later, they took their heart rate again, and it had lowered 80 to 90% of the time. It lowers. Okay, I think someone had said it lowered by 15 to 20 beats, so it's quite a lot. Okay, so drink water, guys. Drink water, burn fat. Fantastic. Testosterone. Now, this is something that you probably associate with men. You probably associate with Arnie, good old Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's got a lot of testosterone, right? Just got water all up my nose. And testosterone, testicles, it's a very like masculine kind of word. And men have much, much higher levels of testosterone than women. But women have a lot of testosterone in comparison to estrogen and progesterone. We actually have more testosterone than those two hormones, which we typically think of women, yeah? So what does testosterone do? It helps us build muscle, basically. It helps us feel good. It gives us like the oomph, the drive, the energy, the just like boom, 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 the masculine stuff, like I don't want to I'm not getting into that, guys, but like the typically masculine stuff was like boom, 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 boom. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight, ready to do like boy stuff. So exercising does increase this temporarily, but it's also strength training has been proven as well now to increase the number of androgen receptors. So an androgen is like testosterone is an androgen, and we need the receptors in order to access and use the testosterone. Okay, so you might have lots of testosterone flying around, but if you haven't got the receptors, they can't then utilize the testosterone. So you've got high levels of testosterone flying around, unable to access them. Okay, and we want to use them. We want to use them to our benefit. So if you've got PCOS, typically, you've got higher androgen levels, higher testosterone levels, and so if you exercise regularly, your insulin sensitivity can be improved. Okay, and we want sensitive insulin, not over the top. Okay, we just want it to be pretty sensitive. We don't want to be insulin resistant. So if you're in menopause and perimenopause or postmenopause, whatever, then testosterone does decrease, and obviously then you can't access them as well. So we need to bump up our testosterone. But for PCOS, it's slightly different because the exercise is going to help them increase the insulin sensitivity. Okay, so it's a bit of a like mixed wires kind of situation going on. But our bodies are made to keep a homeostasis, which means that it wants to be as well run as possible. So it's going to use, where possible, it's going to use the testosterone, the T3, testosterone to access what it needs to, okay, and do what it needs to. So it's going to balance hormones, and it's going to manage symptoms as well. Testosterone, like I said, in women naturally decline with age, okay? So in a normal menstrual cycle, testosterone is going to peak around ovulation. That's when you're really strong, got a lot of energy, a lot of like, fucking go do it, that kind of stuff. Go get it. And then as we age, testosterone gets lower and lower and lower. It also helps us with libido as well, which is why later on in life, so before you go through menopause, typically as we go through perimenopause, women's sex drives will be higher because the body's like, girl, it is now or never. You're on heat. We're going to fucking do this, okay? So that happens. But after that phase of our life, we're like, we don't need to make a baby anymore because that's what we're here for, okay? I'm not getting into that either. But that's what the body thinks we're here for. So if we haven't made a baby or we don't need to make any more, we're past that age where we can't, why do we need testosterone? Why do we need libido? We don't want to do that if we can't make a baby. That's the way the body thinks, okay? It is smart, but it's not that smart. So resistance training can help maintain muscle mass and bone density. For women, it strengthens bones as well. Resistance training generally. And then that can influence hormonal health. Okay, so we need testosterone in our life. Okay, growth hormone. So basically, I'm not going to go into like a ton of detail here. We all have growth hormone. Testosterone is the drug that women will use as well to like get really big. So when we're talking about resistance training, they add testosterone into their blood and into their body to get bigger, okay, to build a ton more muscle. So a lot of the bodybuilders you see will be on testosterone, will be on steroids. So please don't panic about increasing testosterone, which can be done through lifting weights and building your muscle mass. So I just wanted to do that. Growth hormone is another thing that some people take, but generally we all have it, and it's needed for tissue repair, muscle growth, and fat metabolism. Okay, that's what we want. We want a lean body. We don't want a skinny body. We don't want a light body. We want a lean body. Okay, not light, not skinny, lean, muscle mass. Okie dokie. Rattling through them now. Insulin. We know what insulin does now, okay? So exercise can improve the insulin sensitivity, which means we're going to be able to be more responsive to when it comes into our blood, and then we can regulate it a little bit better, okay? So if you've got type 2 diabetes, or if type 2 diabetes is in your family, then it is really, 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 really important to make sure that you are trying to work on your insulin as much as possible. So exercise can improve sensitivity as well. Then you've got thyroid. Obviously, thyroid is like the key driver of your hormones. One of the places that hormones are secreted from, but thyroid is kind of like in the driver's seat, I guess. So when you exercise, it produces more hormones, and it tells the body, okay, it needs to come out now, it needs to come out now, it needs to come out more. So it's going to produce better hormones, healthier hormones, and it's going to release them at the correct time, okay? So we know that the thyroid helps us build the metabolism and increase our energy levels. So if we are struggling with energy, the last thing people want to do is exercise, but exercise is the thing that's going to help it. So it's like you need to get your head out of your ass and just do it, kind of thing. Okay, leptin and ghrelin. I know what they are. They're the sleepy and the no, they're not. They're the full and the hungry hormone. Yes, they are correct. So some studies say that they can exercise helps modulate them. A lot of people will feel hungry after exercise, and that's probably because your body's like, oh my God, I've just used my energy stores, refeed me. Okay, that's good. That's what we want. A lot of our clients, when they get to a certain point, we'll start talking about meal timing with them, about how to fuel for exercise, when to eat, when to recover, all of that kind of stuff. But we don't want to think that we've earned food. We don't want to be like, well, I just burnt off 400 calories. Now I can eat 400 calories. Okay. This is another one of my pet peeves. It's terrible. Terrible. Because then you're like, this cookie is good, which means I've been good. So I deserve this. We don't want to be deserving food. Okay. If anything, we deserve to fuel our body with good, healthy food to make us feel good, rather than a highly processed treat that is going to make us feel like shit after, okay? That's just it. That's the way it is. I'm going to spit it like it's true, okay? So don't think you have to earn food. Don't be like, oh, well, I've done my exercise, so now I can have this, because you've undone a lot of the good from the exercise then, okay? You've added in fast digesting carbs, you've added in processed carbs into your body, which is going to cause bloating. It's going to decrease your mood, so those endorphins are going to drop. You're not going to be able to, well, you've burnt some calories, and now you're re-adding those calories back in. It's kind of like, should have just gone for a walk, love, not in there. And on the flip side, when people eat bad food, I'm always doing this, eating bad food, then they're like, I need to burn this off, which then creates a bad relationship with exercise and food, because it's like exercise is the punishment for eating this food. And we don't want that. We want exercise to be like, look what my fucking body can do. I'm bad bitch. Like, look at me. That's what you want to be like, okay? Not like, oh, I've got to go on to do some cardio now because I just ate a cookie. I ate 4 Oreos this morning, okay? It's fine. Don't make me a bad person. I didn't go and try and burn them off. I just ate them. Bloody enjoyed them. Okay, so types of training and hormone response. So we've got a few different types of training. The most common ones are cardiovascular training, or CV. You'll see some people call it, or just cardio, and strength training. So cardiovascular is your cardiovascular system. So it's like your lungs, your heart, all of that kind of jazz. And so when you CV train, you're going to boost endorphins, improve insulin sensitivity, and aids fat burning. And strength training does all that, and it also increases testosterone, increases growth hormone, and supports lean muscle mass for fat loss. Okay, mouthful, but yeah. So strength training is superior. Everyone's like, but what about heart health? Yes, but strength training does also build your heart health, okay? Because if you guys have lifted and you've done 15 reps of deadlifts 5 times, that is a cardiovascular like workout in itself. So it's not training the specifically training the CV system, but it is building up that resistance and that threshold during strength training. Okay, so there's different ways to do it, and even on a 1 rep or 3 reps, you're like, so it's about the intensity of the workouts. Often we don't want to do it all the time, but quite often you need to be pushing in order to get these benefits. Okay, otherwise people say something's better than nothing. I'm like, is it though? Is it? Let's go for a walk. Okay, so to summarize, quick today, like 23 minutes. When you exercise, your hormones work together to keep your body functioning well. Okay, so regular physical activity and a healthy, balanced lifestyle, which we've already spoken about, and obviously food, can contribute to positive hormonal changes and overall well-being. In fact, studies show that if you have a good diet and you exercise, that is more advantageous and get better results for people with depression or anxiety than antidepressants and talk therapy, so counseling, things like that. Exercise and nutrition blows it out of the water, okay? 150 times, 150% in improvement over traditional therapies. Pretty sure that was the 150, yeah. So yeah, make sure you're doing both. Don't feel like you have to burn off bad food. Don't feel like you have to do one or the other. This is the other thing. If you can't go to the gym, everyone's like, I'm not eating. I'm just going to eat shit now because I can't go to the gym. It's like, you could just, okay, eat well, go for a walk, stress manage, sleep well, and you still lose weight. Okay, you don't have to exercise to lose weight. Yes, it is beneficial for muscle building, for fat burning, for feeling good, and all of the things we've talked about today. But to lose weight, you do not need to exercise. To lose fat, you don't really need to exercise to lose fat either. We've got clients that can't exercise for one reason or another. Maybe they've got injuries or medical conditions or wherever. They still lose weight. Still lose fat. Okay, so resistance training should be part of every woman's week. You should be resistance training. This does not mean you have to go to the gym. You can resistance train body weight resistance, which means against your own body weight, okay? So squats. You squat every time you go for a pee, okay? You sit down, you stand up. You sit down, you stand up. Every time you sit down, unless you can, because he slumps on the sofa, You would sit down gracefully and then you stand back up gracefully. That's a squat, okay? You could add in push-ups. If you're like, I can't do push-up, you could do them off the wall, okay? Like you literally stand there off the wall like this. You are using your body weight. If you want to make that harder, then you go onto like a table. So you're like this, doing a push-up off the wall, and then you go into a table, and then you go into the floor, okay? That's the way you progress. You can use things at home like rucksacks to do a row for your back, bottles of water to press overhead. Like, where am I? Here. Yeah, press overhead. There's lots of things that you can do. It doesn't need to be a gym situation, okay? However, a gym will, I'm pretty sure there's been studies that increases your testosterone because of the environment. I'm pretty sure, but don't quote me on that one. But it will get you out of the house, so you get some time. It will help you progress even more quickly because now you've got the resistance against it. And it will also improve your confidence. I know it might feel daunting right now, but when you get in there, you're like, everyone's actually pretty nice. That guy says hi every time I come past. That girl waves to me, you know? So most people just leave you alone, which is fantastic. So, guys, as we age, we drop a significant amount of muscle mass. So the best time to start building muscle is now. Because when we are in perimenopause or menopause, we're basically trying to keep muscle at that rate, okay? So even now, I've got quite a lot of muscle mass on me. I'm now like, I need to build more, I need to build more. It's not because I want to be huge, because I won't be, because I don't take drugs, but I want to make sure that as I age, I've got the strength, I've got the flexibility, I've got the mobility, and it decreases other risks, right? So if you're strength training, if you fall over, well, you've got more balance, first of all, so you're less likely to fall over. But if you do fall over, because there's some sort of saying that she fell over, she went to hospital, and then she died, but not of the broken leg, like, because she got something when she was in hospital. I don't know who this she is. So by reducing the risk of falling is the first situation, and then building the strength in the muscles and the bone for less, so it's less likely that they break and that you spend time in hospital and all of those side effects, okay? So it also makes you just feel better, okay? There's like so many benefits to it, and I wish I could tell you every single one of them, but for now, just trust me, go and strength train, okay? And that's why your guys' training that we put in for you has been strength training and not cardio, okay? Some people ask, does walking count as cardio? And that would depend. When it comes to our clients, typically we class it as cardio because we're like, oh, well, technically you're still like training your heart. But really, if we're being like specific, it doesn't really count. If you're going for a walk, to exercise, that is exercise. If you're going for a walk if you're just going to listen to a podcast and chill, and that's your walk, then that's not necessarily exercise. That's just you going for a walk. If you're walking the dog, that doesn't count as exercise. That's NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. If you're walking around the shop, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, NEAT. So it's a fine line and it goes in between, but strength training is very specific. It's working against something, right? Is there anything else I want to say? Don't trust the calories in your watch. They're crap. Don't trust the calories in the machine. They're crap. Don't eat back your calories. And when you're on MyFitnessPal, just ignore the exercise, the tab, okay? I know it says like goal, food, training, remaining, or something like that, exercise and remaining. Just ignore the second two. Just make sure that your eating or your food matches your goal. Make sure your goal is correct in there as well. You don't need to pay for MyFitnessPal. Use the free one. Okay. 30 minutes. Task. Post a workout selfie in the group. So if you're not training today, do it tomorrow. If you took a picture in the week, post it today. And that is it, guys. I hope this has been helpful. Let us know your biggest takeaway in the comments as always. Let's get strong. I want to see you badasses at the gym. And if you need anything from us at all, then just give us a shout. Have a fantastic weekend.